So I recently got a job and I was pretty much unemployed for about, I want to say a year, maybe even closer to 2 years. Now, quick backstory before I hop into what I do at my job currently. But my mom was unfortunately bedridden shortly after taking one of the jabs that was quote unquote forced upon the population. I'm here in Canada, so if you guys know what I mean, then you guys know what I mean. I don't want to say too much because obviously YouTube has its certain guidelines and whatnot. But yeah, once that happened, my life had kind of shifted from kind of being able to do whatever I wanted to do at 25. I'm 28 by the way now, and yeah, I was basically doing whatever I wanted to do before. And then when my mom got bedridden, she basically got paralyzed from the neck down, so she had like limited mobility. She was in the hospital for about, I want to say like she was like in the ICU, so the intensive care unit, for about a month. Spent another 8 months in the actual hospital, and then she spent another 3 months in a rehab facility. So she was spent about like a year outside of the home. So when she finally came back, she had limited movement and still does have limited movement. She's kind of just stuck in a bed almost all day. So I became a full-time caregiver for her. And if you guys have done caregiving or have been a caregiver in your life, then you know exactly what I'm kind of going through. Then yeah, you guys know that it takes a lot of time and energy. And I did have a remote job at this time during this time, but unfortunately, due to global tech layoffs, there was like a boom and bust after the whole COVID thing and everything. Because during COVID there was a whole bunch of money going around via stimulus checks. So a lot of companies were hiring then, and then obviously when that money stopped flowing, they had to cut back. A lot of companies had to cut back, and even now, people are still being affected by layoffs. So, I was affected by layoffs maybe a year and a half ago, and from there, I kind of I had some money saved up, and I was like, you know what, I'm taking care of my mom. Why not just give it a go and try to go the unemployed route for a bit, try to bet on myself, which I always do, and will encourage you guys to do the same every single time. Because if there's anything that we can take away from what's been going on in the economy and the world in general, is that you guys must bet on yourselves, because nobody really cares about you other than yourself. And that's just the cold hard reality of where we are in life, or where we are in society right now. But yeah, so I decided to bet on myself, and I was doing day trading, or I started day trading mainly Forex back in 2019, end of 2019. So literally right before COVID. And I know during COVID, a lot of people got into day trading or just trading in general because, they kind of saw it as a way to make money. And that is exactly how I looked at it when I first started as well. Of course, throughout the years, I was pretty unsuccessful because I built up the wrong habits when trying to learn it. But yeah, so I figured, let me go all into day trading when I got laid off. And it went well sometimes at some points, but ultimately didn't end up the way I wanted it to end up. So I ran out of savings, burned through my credit, which was like 20K. And then I came to that point where I was like, okay, I'm out of cash, and I need to go find another job now. Now, of course, I'm still a caregiver for my mom, so if I could find a job that was remote, that's probably the best case scenario for me, just so I could do both. But at the end of the day, I needed anything at this point, right? Because again, I burned through all my savings and I burned through all my credit, so I had nothing to survive on, and bills need to be paid, and at first, when I got to the situation, I was really stressed out and frustrated. I was just like, bro, I cannot believe I have ended up in this whole situation. It's like I could have just got a job earlier. But then I thought about it, it's like, bro, I took a risk and I failed. That's okay. That's okay, because guess what? I still took that risk. And I'm still relatively young. I'm in my 20s. And yes, I have this huge responsibility of having to take care of my mom. But you know what it is? Like, a lot of people, when they reach their 30s or even 40s, they are not able to take that risk so easily anymore. Why? It's because they have all these responsibilities. They might have a wife and kids, like other things that they actually, like, real adult like responsibilities. And I'm not saying like in your 20s you're not gonna have that. You of course will. I can attest to that. Like, I have to take care of my mom, right? It's a huge. I'm not gonna lie. It feels like I have a child. It actually does feel like that. But so I understand. Like, you might have your responsibilities, but at the end of the day, it's like if you don't take the younger that you are, the better it is for you to take those risks and fails. Because think about it. I'm 28 right now. I took this risk. I failed. I lost all my money. I blew through all my credit. Which, by the way, like when I was growing up, I had perfect credit. Like because I knew my dad, he messed up his credit. So when I viewed credit, I was like, yo, I'm not gonna mess this shit up. And then, lo and behold, here I am. I take a risk and I end up messing it up. But you know what? It's okay. Because again, I'm getting back to this point where it's like, yo, if you take that risk and you fail, guess what? You did more than what 90% of people out there are doing. Everyone else is just following the script, bro. They're getting that 9 to 5 job. They're working Monday to Friday. And then on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they're turning up, doing whatever, just eating like shit. Just kind of living that cookie cutter life, following the script. And guess where it's going to get them? Well, if we look historically at what's going on right now, all the people that kind of followed that lifestyle, they're kind of getting screwed in the ass right now, if I'm going to be honest, right? So I don't want to be a part of that cohort. I'd rather take that risk, and I'd rather make these mistakes now so that in the future I can end up becoming successful, which I wholeheartedly believe that I will become successful in the future. And it is primarily due to the fact that I am able to take these risks right now. I'm not afraid of failing. That's what I want you guys to understand. You should not be afraid of failing, because every failure is literally just a lesson for you to learn. When I was a kid, my dad got me the Game Boy Advance SP. You guys know exactly. This is how I played Pokemon Emerald, right? With this SP. Now, he bought me this SP, and I remember I was like, I don't remember how old I was exactly, but I was definitely under the age of 10. And I was a stupid kid, I'm not gonna lie. One day I went to Dollarama, which is basically the dollar store here in Canada. And I brought the SP with me. And for whatever reason, I just left it on the floor there. And so technically I just left it there and I lost it. So when I got home, I realized, oh shit, I don't have my SP anymore. And like little me was like, I started crying and stuff because I'm thinking like, yo, my dad, he worked so hard for me to get this Game Boy Advance SP, and I just, just lost it so carelessly. And I remember crying and just like, I was like, oh my God, I let him down. And of course, I'm also sad that I can't play the SP anymore, right? But I was also like, because I saw my dad working really hard to pay the bills, to, put food on the table and all this stuff. And I understood what it was. But so when my dad finally had that chat with me, I thought he was going to yell at me or whatever. But then he kind of told me one thing. He just kind of reassured me. He put his hand on my head and, stopped me from crying. And he told me, hey, listen, son, it's okay to make mistakes, but it is not okay to not learn from those mistakes. And that, you see, like this happened when I was a kid. I'm 28 now, right? Bro, I still remember this lesson. And it's the same lesson I want to instill in you guys today. It's the fact that you can make all these mistakes. It's fine. That's fine. It's okay to make mistakes, but it is not okay to not learn from your mistakes, right? So when you fail nowadays, that's fine. But just make sure you are not learning from those mistakes, Because at the end of the day, those mistakes are what's going to teach you those lessons. And then when you use those lessons to your advantage in the future, everything's going to go smoothly. And what I realized is, I know I've been rambling for a little bit. Let me go back to the job that I just got, because, throughout this, I guess, failure of sorts, now I had to come back to getting a job, which was the first thing the only thing that I was trying to avoid. But obviously I had to humble myself and, realize the facts of the situation. I do need a stable income. And in fact, a stable income would help me while I work on this trading thing on the side until it becomes, sufficient enough for me to go full time with it. But for now, it is something that I should be doing on the side. Nonetheless, I got a job with a popular casino online website. I'm not going to name the name because, just not going to name it. But I'm basically a chatbot and nothing crazy. I make like 60K before tax, which I'm probably going to get, I don't know. It should be all right. I think I'm making about close to $4,000 a month from this job. It's not too bad. Now my focus is to work on paying down my debt while simultaneously working on trading on the side, and of course taking care of my mom and making sure that I stay fit. Just level up in any way that I can, because again, I am 28, and if I can put my head down, then by the time I'm 35, I should be pretty solid, man. And so a lot of people, I think what people have realized is that 9 to 5, only working a 9 to 5 is not going to do you any justice. You need something on the side. And the more and more people I talk to, like my social circle, for instance, I realize that everyone is either actively pursuing something on the side or looking to pursue something on the side, because they realize, like, listen, their normal 9 to 5 job is not going to get them through all the ropes here. And so that's what I want to show you guys too. It's like, don't be afraid of failure. At the end of the day, I feel like just working this 9 to 5 is going to end up being the failure in the future anyway. So lock in, boys.